If you are a victim of abuse, one important thing to do is to not look at anger and violence as something that makes you the same as your abuser, because it's denying violence that makes you feel so unsafe in the first place. It's how you become blind to bad intentions because you can know something you keep rejecting. Everybody is capable of violence, and part of recovery is in accepting that violence exists in you and you can control it. And if you deny it, that's when it turns on you. That's where the pain keeps coming from. If you are a victim of abuse, the first thing you should focus on, action, not feelings. That's just what the people around you want. They want their feelings about what happened validated, because they themselves can cope with what happened. But this is not what you need at the moment. Because if you go into it without any defenses, you are going to either shut off or drown in pain and regret. What you want first is to create a sandbox where you have full control of the situation. You need to reclaim that part of your life first. And I can explain why action is more important than talking to victims with abuse with this ball. Let's say this is your trauma. If you talk about your feelings, if you scream at it, if you blame it, the ball doesn't change. But if you take action, something changes, right? And that's what exercising, maintaining a disciplined lifestyle, keeping control over your environment, having a controlled sleep schedule does for your trauma. It sets distance between you and what happened. It increases the number of moves you have until it happens, giving you finally space to heal. So by becoming aware how to control your own body and your own surroundings, you also become aware of how what happened to you isn't your fault. That no matter how you replay it in your head, you had very few moves to make. And even if you could retry infinite times, the result wouldn't change much. And that is what's stopping you from recovering. More than the pain, it's the guilt and regret that eats you up and steals your life by making you unable to go out and try again. It's not the pain that stops recovery. It's believing that somehow it is your fault and you don't deserve to heal. And nobody can correct that but yourself. And even if there's someone who can protect you, that version of you is still back there in the same situation. You must become your own savior. And once you get to this place in time where you can maintain your present life, even if most things happen, where you have good habits and systems, where even if you lose them, you know you can get back to the same point again, that's when you can finally look at your trauma in the face and negotiate with it. Like finally admitting how much they hurt you or how much it changed you. Letting go of blaming, accepting pain, accepting that it happened, and transforming it until it doesn't affect your choices anymore. It doesn't control your actions anymore. And it doesn't exist in your mind until you allow it to exist. That is when you take the first step out of trauma of being abused. One step that few people talk about in healing is actually depression. But it's a different kind of depression. It's not about feeling unsafe, it's about not knowing what to do. Because a great part of your identity came from a reaction to that trauma. And once you release that trauma, you also release all the behaviors and thoughts that were tied to it. A part of you is gone. But this is not an issue, it's an opportunity, because it means you get to fill that void with things beyond fear and pain. That is when you get to change the reason why you exist to something more than just survival and being scared. That's the whole point of healing, is to get you where you should be.